Alright guys, we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see some people already in the chat. I think y'all like the that music I found. I think I liked it too. Hopefully the audio's okay. Let me know if it's too loud or something and I can adjust it. We're still learning how this goes. Turn off my monitoring. There we go. So, yeah, just let the chat go here. Boom, let's go. Adjusted the mic a little bit. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So, I will warn you, there might be lots of yelling and screaming because there's sports ball going on behind me. So, yeah, go Chiefs or whatever, if people like that. Yeah. So, let's see where we're starting here. Yeah. So today we're going to be discussing the book Lies My Doctor Told Me by Dr. Ken Berry. He's a pretty cool guy. His channel should be linked in the description. If it's not, then I'll go and double check that. But yeah, I've been wanting to read this book for a long time, and I'm finally getting my opportunity to actually do that. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, I guess we can get started. So, bloop. I made like a slideshow for this, so mostly for my benefit, but hopefully you guys will get something out of it too. But yeah, that's the title of the book. So, in the cover. But yeah, main things we're going to be going over today are going to be the he discusses a lot about doctors and medical practice. He also talks about medical testing, and obviously he talks about diet. That's the biggest part of the book. I could have probably just put, instead of diet, I could have just put literally everything. But that's kind of what it is. But yeah, doctors and medical practice. Oh, hold on here. I'm bad with the boomer tech here. I'm bad with the streaming. I've never done this before, so here, y'all get to see the struggle. But yeah, the first couple chapters of the book, he really talks a lot about how basically doctors are people too. He's really trying to make sure that people understand that doctors aren't really giving bad information on purpose most of the time. They're just kind of, I mean, they're people. They have lives. They have very busy lives usually, and that kind of, it has an effect. So that's largely what he's talking about there. So yeah, we can move on. The next thing that he talked about quite a decent bit was medical testing, which we can just do. Yeah, the slide. It's very helpful for you guys. He talked about medical testing, and medical testing is something that is kind of overlooked a lot of times by a lot of people, mostly because most people don't understand it, myself included. It's just kind of it's difficult because a lot of times they'll use tests, like for example in one of the chapters he talks about thyroid testing. There's a very common test. It's the TSH test. I forget what that stands for. Thyroid stimulating hormone, I think is what it is. Basically, it's a hormone that's produced by your brain that tells the thyroid to start producing thyroid hormones. It's basically a precursor to thyroid things, but it's used pretty common for determining if people have like thyroid issues such as hypo or hyperthyroidism. It's just kind of it's a bad test. It doesn't necessarily mean anything one way or the other if you have a high test or a low test or anything. You really should get a full thyroid panel done. Yeah, which I did recently. Supposedly mine was okay, though I basically fit all the symptoms that he describes in the book, and through some other research that I did. Thank you, Mayo Clinic. But yeah, I've done some other reading, and it looks like intermittent fasting can have an effect on thyroid. So since I do that a lot, that could be the reason why I'm not, or I just don't have a thyroid problem, and I'm making stuff up in my head. You never know. But yeah. So the biggest crux of his book here about the little lies that people are told in the medical field is related to diet. Obviously, diet plays a big role in people's health, bigger than a lot of doctors would like to say. So it's just overlooked. Like, there's not. He talks about in the book that in his 4 years of medical school, he only had one nutrition class, and a lot of it was basically eat lots of carbs, and that was basically the entire recommendation. And it led him to being a fat, sick doctor who didn't like what he was getting. He was basically getting fatter and sicker, telling his patients to do the same things he was doing, and it wasn't working, and he was just blaming the patients, which obviously that kind of didn't really help him. It just kind of is what it is. Yeah. So the big one that we can go to here, which I'll cut to here, but is I should probably turn my hold on, let me turn my face off of here. We don't need that. So the father of the modern diet orthodoxy is his name was Dr. Ansel Keys. He is very influential in basically diet and nutrition. He's the father of modern nutrition. Let me get my stuff back here. He had several major works where he did a lot of he did a lot of studies through his life. The big ones were the starvation study, which Dr. Barry doesn't really discuss much in this book, though I did some other reading on it, and I've seen several documentaries in the low carb space that talk about Dr. Keys. And the starvation study was ethically dubious, you could say, even by 1940s World War II standards. They basically took a bunch of people in a mental hospital and starved them and saw how refeeding them worked. I mean, that's one way to do it, I guess. But the big one that he's really chided for a lot was what they called the 7-country study. Basically, he figured that low-fat diets or high-fat diets caused heart disease, and this was big because in the 1950s, the president at the time, Eisenhower, had a heart attack while he was in office, and that started the whole craze on heart disease as being a major issue, health issue. And he basically studied several countries that had various different diet habits and basically looked for a correlation between the diet, the fat in the diet, and the level of heart disease. And of course, he initially studied 22 countries, but he cherry-picked 7 of them. Well, 7 of the countries actually followed his correlation that he was looking for, and that's what he ended up publishing in his study, though he left out the other 22, because if you look at the full set of data, it really didn't show his conclusion at all. It was dubious at best. But another big thing he was pretty influential in was promoting the BMI as a measurement of health, which frankly, I don't think BMI is as bad as people say when it comes to an overall just very generic set of if you're super high BMI, I mean, obviously you're probably not healthy, and if you're super low, no. But I mean, there is a lot of gray area, so it is what it is. Yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, his philosophy was largely related to the promotion of low-fat diets. He really thought that cholesterol was related to fat consumption, and that cholesterol was the key cause of heart disease. And he believed that preventing heart disease was the big thing, which it is. I'm not saying it's not, but his methodology of it ended up and unfortunately a lot of his studies just were taken as gospel, so there wasn't really anything to like go against that, if that makes any sense. Like, people just kind of accepted it as gospel and then carried with it. But yeah, he's mentioned a couple of times in Dr. Berry's book. He's not super disparaging, but he's definitely very he questions Dr. Keyes quite a bit on his methods and his conclusions in his studies. Yeah, they weren't amazing. But oh man, I'm still in this stinking thing. All right, let's see here. Let me take my face off of here again. Oh, that's the wrong. Again, bear with me. Like the chat, or likes in the chat for messing up. Let's go. But he's also very, very critical of the food pyramid, as one would probably expect him to be. I don't really remember the original food pyramid much. That basically went away by the time I was in early, what do you want to say, like early elementary school. So I don't really remember that much. The My Pyramid, that was like my childhood that I remember being the big thing. It was that was what it is, and it's slightly better than food pyramid, but it's god awful. The amount of grains that are recommended is just not good for the vast majority of people who eat food. Like, it's kind of hot garbage, but it is what it is. I know the My Plate is come back, but it's still kind of less good. Like, there's not even a fats category in the My Plate, but yeah. Which even the dairy subject, Dr. Berry does discuss, and he doesn't recommend people to drink milk. I probably would have to do more research on it, but I really like milk, so I'm gonna probably continue drinking milk. Yeah, I don't care, Dr. Berry. I'm sorry, but it kind of is what it is. Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna take a break here for a second, and we're gonna do the sponsored segment, which is, drum roll, me. I'm the sponsor of this video, believe it or not. I know, that's crazy, right? Who would have guessed? I do have a website that I post all of the videos on, and I do some of the videos I do like actual, like I write out different thoughts and things that are going on. Like you could probably see, let's see, what's one that I did that had a bit more to say, like this one here. I go quite a bit. I actually show the pictures, or that. Oh, looks like in the chat, dairy or just milk. He's more talking about dairy, or as it was, he's more talking about just milk, not specifically all dairy. He's kind of iffy on other sources of dairy, but the main thing is milk. Especially due to the calcium argument, it's not the greatest, in his opinion. So that's kind of what he's at there. But yeah, some of these. Anyway, back to this part. Some of these I go into a bit more detail about different things that are going on that I discuss in the videos, or things that are kind of behind the scenes, so you get a little extras there. You're also able to subscribe here. You don't have to pay me any money. I don't have anything exclusive, really, because nobody's subscribed yet, but it is what it is. But if you get it free, you'll get the newsletter. It'll go out. It'll basically just have all the videos, and you don't have to worry about YouTube not getting me. So, yeah, we'll go back to our slideshow here. No, he doesn't mention raw milk at all. He says it's probably, well, actually, I take that back. He does mention, actually, you know what, let's just go to full screen. He does mention raw milk. He doesn't think it's bad, or let me rephrase that. He says it's not, it's better than drinking pasteurized milk. He just doesn't think it's good, so he wouldn't recommend that anybody actually drink it, really. kind of just is what it is, sort of a deal. Yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Let's see here. So, yeah, he discusses. I mean, he discusses several myths along those lines, particularly when it came to the diet. It largely revolves around carbohydrates as being the end all be all. But yeah. So he also discusses salt, which I've kind of gone down a rabbit hole on salt. It's better to have more salt than necessary than less salt. The argument about salt affecting blood pressure is kind of ill supported, if you want to say. So that is its own thing. He also discusses the idea of the calorie is a calorie, which I know a lot of people have kind of gone on that, especially in the low carb space. They talk a lot about a calorie is not a calorie, it's not a calorie. Though a lot of people disagree with that. I find the calorie is a calorie argument to also be stupid, mostly because the human body is not made in that way. Like, it's not, we just don't work that way. Your body uses a carbohydrate different than it uses a protein versus a fat, so it's kind of a non sequitur to me, but it is what it is. That actually is something I plan on discussing more in some future topics. There's a book that I've been wanting to read by Dr. Jason Fung out of the whole Canada about a calorie is a calorie, and he really discusses intermittent fasting and just fasting in general. That's kind of his main crux. And he also has a channel, which maybe I should link somewhere, but he's a great resource for that stuff. So that might be the next stream for the next book I read. Yeah, we'll see. What do you guys think so far in the chat? How we doing here? Hopefully it's not too terrible. We haven't had any kids run in here yet, so that's a good sign. That could be bad. But yeah. Dr. Berry also talks a decent bit about fiber. Well, in a chapter, he discusses fiber. Fiber is basically not really a thing that's needed for human health. That's his take. I tend to agree with that, based on my lack of research. Yeah, I read it on the internet once, so therefore it has to be real. And also, the boomer version of that is I read it in a book. So you can't lie in a book; it's illegal. But yeah, one lie that he discusses in the book was regarding breast milk and vitamin D. I actually had not heard this one. Seeing that my wife, Steph, who you guys probably remember from the channel, she has now nursed both of our boys, and we were never told that breast milk was lacking in vitamin D and that we would need to supplement vitamin D. We were told later, like once the older boy started doing like eating his own food and stuff, like not really nursing as much, that we may need to supplement vitamin D, which we do most of the time. But largely the problem with vitamin D and breast milk was it's the mothers are deficient, is what Dr. Berry says in the book, which would make sense to me because most people are deficient. When I did that blood test, or the thyroid test a couple weeks ago, that was the big thing that was found, is that I was super deficient in vitamin D, which, considering I am a cave dweller and I don't ever go outside really, and especially in the wintertime now, it made sense to me. Yeah, I've had problems with vitamin D deficiency before, so it is what it is. It doesn't surprise me at all. Let's see here. So yeah, he also talks about meat and cancer. He doesn't really talk about the health benefits of meat so much in and of itself, but there have been several dubious studies about various different kinds of meat and causing cancer, which, like, for example, the processed meats causing cancer, that one is really focusing on the nitrates, which we hear about that a lot in the media. So like hot dogs and bacon, they have high levels of nitrates. But the problem with that theory or thought is that there are plenty of other plant foods that are very high in nitrates as well, and even higher than those processed meats. So I think the example he uses is spinach. If I remember right, I could be wrong, but it's probably spinach. But it has a much higher level than any of the processed meats that you would think of as generally bad. Not saying that hot dogs are good for you, but again, that's kind of the less bad sort of argument. Grilling meats that those studies have basically nothing to them, and red meat itself, but there's very little to that as well. Yeah, I don't know what else to go there. See what else we got. And then carbohydrates. Yeah, the lies about carbohydrates. He doesn't even talk that much about them in the book. It's largely a matter of I'm trying to look for the words here. The issue is that like you need carbs to live, or that your brain runs on carbohydrates, which in a sense is true. However, your liver is able to make carbohydrate or glucose in order to sustain your blood sugar. That's why the keto diet is able to be done. Yeah, Dr. Berry does love him some bacon. That is true. Who doesn't, frankly? If you don't like bacon, you were wrong. Official statement. You can put that on a t-shirt or something if you want. If you don't like bacon, you were wrong. But I lost what I was thinking about. Man, I am not good at the chat and doing this. That's kind of crappy because there's not a lot of people in the chat today. Oh man, that's funny. Sorry guys, you picked the worst guy to watch a live stream. Oh man. Oh yeah, but your liver is able to manage your blood sugar without the use of carbohydrate, or ingesting carbohydrate through your diet, through what is the neoglucogenesis, I think is the term there. Makes me sound all sciencey, but that, yeah, it's not. Yeah, you don't need them. They're nice. They taste good, but you don't need them. So yeah. I mean, that's basically the crux of the book, at least what's relevant to the channel here and what I've been focusing on with the channel. I don't. There are other things. He talks somewhat about men's health and even women's health, especially in your hormones, and in relation to the medical testing. I'm not discussing that here because I am not a doctor. And actually, let's go ahead and get this preface. Let's preface this. I am not your doctor. I am not a doctor. Don't take any of this as medical advice. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical expert. I don't. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel, which means that everything I say has to be correct. Ah, dang it! I thought I could keep a straight face. Yeah. Basically, I thought this book was really great. He really focuses a lot on the idea that doctors are, I mean, they're people too. Like, they're not trying to hurt you any. They're not bad people, most of them. And he really tries to give a lot of resources for patients to be able to actually interact with their doctor and make, basically take hold of their own health, if that makes sense. It's like there's no reason why, with the amount of information that we have today, that you can't discuss things with your doctor. And the biggest thing is really the focus on health as a partnership. It's like your doctor's role isn't there to just be the guy who tells you what to do and then you do it and you have health. Like it kind of used to be. Their job is really, and it really always has been, to work with you and help you basically be the expert in health that is able to kind of help and guide you in things, but isn't the end-all be-all. Because, I mean, again, they're human. Just because, in the sense that they're human, that you can't, like, hold things against them for being just the worst. You also can't really not, like, keep things... But, I don't know. But I think you guys are trying to understand what I'm trying to say, but they're human, and it goes both ways, I guess. Yeah. So that I really like that. He also gives a lot of homework in the book. Like each chapter here, I can actually pull it up and show you guys. I have it. I have it right here. Sorry, the camera's like backwards, so everything I do is backwards, and it's confusing. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, come on. I guess I could have bookmarked this before. Oh, here you go. So, he'll give homework, kind of like that. It'll be, oftentimes it's books, which some of these books I need to go write down to add to the list of books to read. Other ones were websites. Like there was a great website that was talking about the thyroid stuff, which I kind of perused. There was a lot of information on that website, like a lot. And it would take quite a while to get through, especially with how busy my life is right now. But it's a great resource. And then others were just like articles, and some of them were scientific studies, though he generally didn't put those in there. But a lot of that homework was intended for you to read and then you to present to your doctor to then be like, hey, what do you have to say about this study that kind of goes against what you're telling me to do? Yeah, and a lot of this book is aimed at doctors and helping them to kind of get out of that, oh, well, this is what they told me in medical school, it has to be right, even though that was 30 years ago. And it was also for patients to be able to kind of read and be able to help take charge of their health and help get these doctors back into a place where they could start doing stuff again, like actually practicing medicine. Yeah, but overall, I really did enjoy the book. I thought it was well written. It's well laid out. It has a lot of pictures in it, which is helpful for me. But he's great. You should check out his YouTube channel, which actually let me get for you guys. Ooh, I'll put it in the chat so you go check him out. Give him a like. Here he is. Yeah, you can check him out. He has a lot of great videos. He talks a lot about carnivore and the carnivore diet. I believe his wife is more on the keto side, and I know he used to be keto at one time. But he has a lot of great stuff. He talks about all kinds of medical conditions and their causes and all kinds of stuff. You'll have a lot of stuff. What does Dr. Berry say about eating crayons? Surprisingly limited. Maybe if he sees this video, he can give us a response on that. That would be awesome, Dr. Berry. If you ever see this, please. What is the effect of eating crayons on the human body? The non-toxic ones, and especially the tasty green ones. Yeah. So, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully, this was okay. I think you guys like the music. I like the music too. There should be more of it. I'm gonna have to figure out a way that I can make a playlist so that it's more than just one song looping over and over. But yeah, so thanks, guys. I have some stuff coming out. Obviously, I have the week 16 video coming out tomorrow. I have that scheduled. I've been working on getting the week 17 video done, and that's kind of where we're at with that. I have finished the editing for one of the interview videos. I need to render it and then get that scheduled to release. That will probably come out on Thursday. I'm gonna say Thursday. That's been the pattern for those interview videos. And then I have another interview video that I'm working on the editing that is going. It's coming along, so we'll have to see about that. And I did some filming this morning for another video that's kind of related to that last interview. So yeah, I got some stuff in the fire there. I got other stuff coming. Yeah, be sure to go check out the website. I spent a lot of time getting that situated and ready. And yeah, let me know in the chat if there's anything you guys would want to see coming up. But we're still hitting it. We're still making progress. Yeah. Oh, I also have to get that other blood test. I do have to do that. I need to find some time from work where I can go get stuck with a needle. But yeah, I'll give the chat a second here since it's kind of delayed, and then we can probably call it. Yeah, and also this is his channel, by the way. Dr. Kinberry. You can see there's all kinds of cool stuff here. Oh man, lose 50 pounds or more. Oh, wonder what he says there. So yeah, Nisha, there's his wife. That's her channel. But all right, guys. Well, thanks for coming out here. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one, and we'll figure out another live stream, because this was pretty fun. I'll have to get better, but that just comes with practice. So thanks for coming along with me. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.